Much of Queensland, Australia, experienced unusually heavy rains and flooding this week. Several households in Brisbane suffered power outages, and floodwaters cut nearly 300 stretches of roads along the Queensland coast. The state's emergency services said they responded to more than 100 calls for help. A car carrying 3 people was swept away by floodwaters on Mount Ossa, north of Mackay. The 2 passengers, ages 50 and 30, managed to escape the vehicle and are now in stable condition, while the driver, a 30-year-old woman, drowned. More than 100 millimeters of rain was recorded in 24 hours in coastal Queensland, between Cairns and Townsville, and in Brisbane City, causing several dams to rise to critical levels and forcing authorities to release water from Wivenhoe, Somerset and North. Townsville Airport received 102 millimeters of rain in 24 hours, 3 times the monthly average for May and the second rainiest May day on record. Etna went insane in Sicily as an eruption began on the island. The earth began to shake in Sicily on Thursday, May 12. Then scientists recorded the first tremors. An eruptive fault opened on the northern slope of the southeastern crater of Etna. First there was an ashy outburst. Lava poured out of the bowels of the earth in torrents. The latest information from Italian colleagues testifies that Etna is still active. On the morning of May 15, the ash and gas column rose into the sky again. The aviation color code has been raised to orange. This is the 3rd eruption since the beginning of the year. The previous ones recorded February 10 and February 21, 2022. Just north of Sicily, the Stromboli volcano exploded in the Tyrrhenian Sea. It was not today, but Friday, May 13, but now the first footage from this small island has finally appeared on the web. The video shows ash and gas column bursting out of the volcano's mouth. Locals and tourists alike say they felt the ground shake beneath their feet at that moment. According to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, the activity led to a significant release of coarse pyroclastic material. It covered the crater terrace and reached the clouds. The wind drove the ash southward. A rare weather event called a haboob occurred Thursday night in parts of the Northern Plains, USA. A haboob is a dust storm normally seen in deserts, which this time was seen in parts of Iowa, South Dakota and Minnesota, though the Northern Plains has no deserts. After a severe drought swept across parts of the central USA, there was a lot of dust that was picked up by strong winds. The National Weather Service released video of a fast-moving hubbub across Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Instantly, day turned into night. A haboob was also sighted in Little Rock, Iowa. A weather satellite also recorded a haboob rolling across Nebraska. Rains and melting snow caused rivers to overflow in northern Canada. Entire communities have been advised to evacuate in the Northwest Territories and hundreds of people have been displaced in the northwestern province of Alberta. An ice jam caused flooding of the Hay River in the Northwest Territories late last week. About 250 residents evacuated their homes in the town of Hay River and surrounding areas ahead of time. The Northwest Territories government said river levels remained high but stable over the next few days as ice was held in the riverbed due to low temperatures. On May 11, however, the water level rose sharply by 2 meters as the ice jam from upstream moved closer to the city. This shift in ice led to flooding in parts of the city of Hay River. Calgary, Canada's 3rd most populous city, is also preparing for flooding. City officials are actively preparing for possible flooding in the spring and early summer in an effort to avoid a repeat of the 2013 flood, when 5 people died in the city and 80,000 were evacuated. In a May 15 statement, city officials said water levels in reservoirs have been lowered to create more room for potential floodwaters. Marine life in different areas of the world's oceans has been contaminated with infections that usually affect humans and animals on land. After learning of this discovery, a team of scientists from the University of California decided to test whether plastic debris could be a vector for pathogens. The researchers took microplastics and added them to 3 varieties of single-celled parasites that cause diseases such as toxoplasmosis, cryptosporidiosis and giardiasis that have been found in shellfish around the world. The experiment showed that the parasites actively reproduce on polymeric microparticles and fibers commonly used in the textile, cosmetics and fishing gear industries. These same particles have been repeatedly observed in the tissues of infected shellfish. Consequently, microplastics not only contaminate marine life, but also contaminate it with pathogenic microbes that can enter the human body with seafood. The annual volume of plastic waste entering the environment is about 300 million tons. Crazy hail and heavy rains with hurricane winds hit several municipalities in Mexico. As a result, streets and roads were flooded with water mixed with hail, the layer of which exceeded 50 centimeters. Hail covered the streets, cars were literally drifting in the strongest currents of floodwater. Gardens and homes in neighborhoods like Aguas Calientes, near the Madden Dam, were completely submerged when the 50 centimeters of hail began to melt, adding to the heaviest downpour in the area. The flooding caused congestion on major roads such as the Rio Grande and Zacatecas areas after the hailstorm. The Mexican government reported that about 5 to 10 homes were flooded as a result of the hailstorm, with water levels as high as 1 meter. Mexican civil defense authorities called for emergency precautions due to the destruction of roads. Oil spill in Peru killed 900 animals. An accident occurred during the unloading of a tanker in the Ventanilla area. More than 10,000 barrels of oil products ended up in the water. The prosecutor's office is investigating the damage to the environment, and authorities have charged Repsol with failing to comply with the conditions of the accident. The Office of the Ombudsman of Peru said that the liquidation work is not completed. The agency said that the spill killed 900 animals, including species threatened with extinction. Specialists are calling on the authorities to take all measures to speed up the cleanup process. So far, the company has cleaned only 21 out of 46 beaches, and it is still unknown how well the cleanup was done. The department stressed that data on affected animals and damage to beaches will be available until the cleanup and restoration of the affected areas is fully completed. The Ibu volcano on the Indonesian island of Halmahera erupted. The height of the ash column of Mount Ibu was observed up to 3,000 meters above the peak. Authorities urged people around Mount Ibu to stay away from the peak of the mountain. If it rains ash, masks and goggles should be used for protection. Ibu is an active volcano in Indonesia. It is located on the island of Halmahera in eastern Indonesia. Its altitude is 1,325 meters above sea level. It is located at the junction of the Pacific and Australian lithospheric plates.